Good to see you again, man.
Good to see you too.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I am fine. I do remember you from Murder Ball. You were the star.
Yeah, I had a pale, dyed blonde hair. Eminem was really popular at that time, so I was kind of riding that popularity train. But,
you know, the hard part about that is when they film that, then that's there forever. So people see you and you go like, oh my God, what were you thinking?
Or they look at you now and say, man, you looked a lot younger back then, that as well too. But I was really proud of how that movie turned out. It was really
phenomenal.
It was really a great display of the power of adaptive sports and how it changes people's lives. And what Challenge Athletes Foundation does is get the money and get it in contact with the people who need it to transform those lives.
Exactly. So you were injured at the age of 16. And was quad rugby something you found fairly quickly?
Yeah, I was hurt at 16. I really honestly spent the next couple of years in depression, hiding out in my house. And
is that in Arizona?
I was hurt in Arizona, and so I spent time there. And you know, when you first get injured, everything feels like a struggle, and you feel weak, and you're kind of surrounded by everything you can't do. And then that's the power of adaptive sports: is it rehabilitates not just your body but your mind.
Yeah.
It also gets you mixed up with peers who are further down the journey than you, and can give you little tricks of the trade,
mentors.
like how to put your chair in the car quickly, how to what jobs are good to, where's good school to go to. You also build your body through the sports, but it's really the connections you make through the people there that really transforms your life for the positive.
So was quad rugby one of the first sports?
Yeah, as I said, I spent the first 2 years in depression, basically hiding out, and I was seeing a psychiatrist, and I was getting physical therapy. I went to
medication.
I went to one rugby practice, and I canceled everything. It's not a joke.
It changed everything.
It changed everything. It really just transformed how I saw myself in the world, the level of capability I saw myself. It just completely blew the ceiling off of what I thought I could do through adaptive sports, through honestly one wheelchair rugby practice.
What was it about that practice? It just made you're okay, I'm an athlete again. What sports were you involved with before your accident?
I played a lot of sports. I played high school football, and I was at Arizona, so I was a big swimmer and things like that. Played basketball and things like that. But yeah, I think that was part of it. Is he's finding wheelchair rugby was saying, hey, I can still play a contact sport. I can still be, aggressive, and I'm strong, and that was something I didn't. You don't get that feeling in the hospital. You feel like everything's a struggle and you're fragile and you can't, and then all of a sudden you get involved in adaptive sports and everything becomes a can.
Because they basically say, suck it up.
Well, people, I think it's easy too. Sometimes you get newly injured and you can tell your family or something, you don't know what I'm going through, it's so hard. But then you get out on a rugby court with a bunch of other quadriplegics, which I am, they're like, come on, dude, we know what it is. Get going, get pushing, you need to get going to school, you need to go into work, and that is just as powerful as the adaptive sport itself.
They basically say life is moving forward. If you're sitting here, it's not going to get you anywhere.
And they act as good role models too for you. You get to start to see, if I put the time in and the work in, then my life can be whatever I make of it.
Sure.
I'm not going to let any kind of physical anything define what I can do with my life, and that's what you really get through adaptive sports. Is if you're not some elite, adaptive athlete, what you get from the sport translates to every aspect of your life.
So when you make your first Paralympic team, and you've been on 3 of them now, right? And then you just coached in your 4th. What was that experience like, your first Paralympics?
It's always a tremendous honor to represent your country. So that was always my goal. I honestly wouldn't have been a good enough athlete if I didn't get injured to make a Team USA.
Right.
And so that was extremely thrilling. The travel, the people you get to meet all over the world, that's an amazing bonus. And to be so focused on that and really try to bring awareness to not just, obviously you want to represent the country well on the court, but just bring awareness to your country about adaptive sports, about the Paralympics. And I think the United States has sometimes lagged behind in awareness with some of the adaptive sports issues. I think Challenge Athletes Foundation does a great job of kind of pushing that to the forefront, because when people see it, they really understand its power more than telling somebody about it when they can actually see it. I think adaptive sports, biggest need sometimes is just exposure.
Sure.
Instead of saying, oh, it's cool, you got to check it out, it makes such a difference. When somebody sees it, they go, whoa, okay, I get it, really quickly.
You got to put their hands on it. They got to see it firsthand. So we're talking, got a bronze in 2004, and then 8, you guys take the gold. That's got to be the coolest thing in the world to have your anthem playing.
It was amazing. It was amazing. All the experiences have been great. I got to go to the 04 in Athens and Beijing and then London, and then the last one was in Brazil. I was assistant coach, and each one has been a tremendously unique experience. it's always nice to end, winning a gold medal.
Yeah.
But each one, it's been really tremendous, and my teammates and coaches and staff and all that, I've learned a lot from them and gotten a lot from them. But again, it's the impact that the sport has on people who don't have any kind of physical impairment. They see it. It's just similar to what I said about myself going to the rugby practice. I think it changes somebody watching it, their perspective on what they can actually achieve. Right. And I think that, it's hard. It's, you go watch two quadriplegics playing wheelchair rugby is a full contact sport, smashing into each other.
More than full contact.
I think it's hard for somebody to say, well, what can I not do? It takes the limits off everybody, not just people with physical limitations. That's why I feel like adaptive sports is so important.
Well, and just we talked about sport makes you whole, right? Before you found this, you weren't whole. You were struggling, trying to figure out what's my life going to be. And how has wheelchair rugby helped you, and quad rugby helped you in the rest of your life?
Yeah, it changed everything. And I tell you, it was the sport itself building me up and rehabilitating my mental, the way I saw myself, my mental picture of myself. But it was the peers too, and seeing, okay, this person has a job, so I can have a job. This person's married with a family. Okay, you start to realize that. I think sometimes when you get in an accident, you put more mental impairments on yourself than your actual physical impairments. Yes. You start to make things bigger deals than they are. And I think if you find a way and you work hard enough and you're smart enough and you put the effort in, you can really do anything no matter what you have going on.
The other thing, I was talking to a wheelchair athlete recently, is Glenn Hartrick from back east, and he was telling me that he realized fairly early on when he was in the hospital that everybody around him was taking their lead from him. That when he was bummed, they couldn't move on with their life. But when he realized that if I'm happy and I'm upbeat and maybe I do my soul searching another time, they can move on, because otherwise they're sort of stuck. Did you find that?
I think that's 100% right. I think the wheelchair for me, going somewhere in the wheelchair at first, I thought, everyone's going to look at me and it's going to be different and people are going to feel sorry for me. But I think you nailed it. I think you go into the room and you act like everybody else and you got a good attitude and you're talking and you're outgoing and you people ask, what have you been doing? And you have these stories about all the things you've been doing. The wheelchair disappears. Yeah, really quickly, and they see the person in it. And that's always what somebody, I think, wants, is to be viewed on who they are and what they do.
So I know you're a coach, but I'm sure that coaches, that there's a big umbrella under everything that you do as a coach, because you're dealing with a lot of newly injured who are coming in and what's my life going to be and how am I going to succeed in life? How important is that aspect of this? Because you seem like that type of guy, that this is what your role is.
That honestly, at this point especially, it's more important, and it's really been more important even sometimes in the results on the court. I mean, yeah, it's great to win the game, but you got to have the bigger picture that this is a community and that, somebody really helped me and supported me when I needed it, and now that's my role as well. It is a family, and it is, somebody raises the bar, not so much on athletic performance, they had a faster time or a higher score or something, but just like, look at what they're doing, look at how they refuse to let anything get in their way. And I think we live in a time sometimes where human potential is minimized, and we keep doing more things with machines and people are doing less, and adaptive sports really shows you where human potential is really unlimited, and really when you push yourself and don't find reasons to quit, you find reasons to persevere, how far you can really get.
How important is this mission in terms of the dollars that CAF provides so that you can buy a piece of sports equipment? Because a lot of times that stuff's just not covered.
Yeah, I've done a lot of traveling and speaking and done a lot with USA. I mean, Challenge Athletes Foundation is the backbone of Team USA. They sponsor so many athletes that wouldn't even really exist other with Challenge Athletes Foundation. And it's so important that giving money to Challenge Athletes Foundation, you're really not giving to Challenge Athletes Foundation, you're giving through Challenge Athletes Foundation. It's a good way to get, Challenge Athletes Foundation gets the money into those adaptive horse saddle, a wheelchair rugby chair, a running blade for an amputee, whatever is needed, and that's really it changes everything. We do a lot of work. We're on the San Diego Sharp wheelchair rugby team here. And we do a lot of outreach with service personnel coming back, and again, the power of adaptive sports in that environment is amazing, and how quickly there really is a correlation between how quick people get involved in adaptive sports and how quick they get back to living a life that they feel is productive and enjoyable.
So James Sa, who works here, is playing with you guys. Is he any good? There's nobody watching here, so you can sort of tell us that he's a bench warmer. Or
James is a good guy, and he's definitely an up and comer on rugby. He puts a lot of training and time into it, but he also does a lot of great work here in Challenge Athletes Foundation.
Work,
and
yes.
We really try to make, like you said, even 10 times, 100 times the impact we make on the court, off the court, in the community. And James does a great job of helping us do that.
Your favorite moment from your athletic career?
Honestly, my favorite moment from my athletic career has really nothing to do with me or
I'm
me
sure
being an
it would,
athlete.
yeah.
It's those moments. It's those moments going into a hospital for the first time when
Yes.
somebody's newly injured, and then seeing them 2 years later, independent and strong and positive and capable when you saw them before when they were down and scared and feeling unable. And they say, it was that talk that helped me. It was hearing about adaptive sports. It was realizing that my potential isn't stunted. My potential may have changed paths, but it's as unlimited as I want it to be.
I love that. Andy, thanks so much for taking time, man. Congrats on everything you're doing.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you, Challenge Athletes Foundation, for supporting adaptive sports. It makes such a tremendous positive difference in so many people.